Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith. We all have a problem in that we need to sell, but who is going to do that selling? Whether it's us, whether it's a team of people, who we are keeps on changing, who our team is keeps on changing, whether they have good days or bad days. We need a process that's going to help us get a predictable result in the face of uncertainty. You've had times where you've been on sales calls and you were on fire and everything worked well. But you've had other times where you're on sales calls and you just kept on missing saying the right thing or asking the right question, listening in the right way. We're talking today with Patrick Butler of Better Earth Solar, where he's going to walk us through the sales process he uses to create predictable results in his sales process while working with a wide variety of salespeople. Patrick, welcome to Redbeard Radio.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Now, I've been interested in solar for a long time, but I live in the Northwest, where it continues to be dubious unless you have a perfectly south-facing house. Will you actually make any results? But you're selling in California and Arizona. You're just expanding into Florida, places where solar power is often just an amazing choice. So before we get into the process of what you're selling with Better Earth, can you tell us some about what the environment looks like when you are knocking on people's doors? Is everyone like, oh man, solar, I love to make money? Or are people hesitant or what?
So naturally, there's always every homeowner is going to have a preconceived notion about solar. They're going to have some sort of concept in their mind. Usually it's something that they've heard, maybe an experience that they had, or what someone else that came to their door told them about solar. And frankly, it is usually not a positive response initially. And usually if someone does have a really positive response, chances are they already have some panels on their roof.
So what does that mean for the process? I guess, how much education is there versus how much is there more actually trying to go get someone to close the deal?
Sure. So, I see them as one and the same. When we're going door to door, our primary objective there is to usually break those preconceived notions and then to just provide education. And with enough education on this product, it's a no-brainer. The most common thing we hear is either it's a no-brainer or, what's the catch? Because many people have heard about solar and they've heard of other ways to go solar, but once they learn about sort of the way that we do it, then it makes a lot more sense.
So we have mostly an education thing. And do people tend to shop around much, or is it once you educate them enough, if they're going to say yes, they just say yes to you right then?
I feel different types of buyers are on different mediums. So when we go door to door, I think the biggest advantage is that, our salespeople are phenomenal and they're just great people. And so when they show up at the door, chances are the reason why that customer is actually purchasing from us in that point is because they love the person there. They like that person's story. They like the energy of the sales representative. And that's going to be the biggest driver of them actually closing the deal with them. Versus we also do quite a bit of online marketing, and that's sort of a different, more analytical customer. They're going straight to the internet, straight to looking at reviews, shopping around, comparing bids from a lot of different companies. So we compete in multiple spaces in that regard.
This is really interesting that it's the likability as much as the education thing. I work with a lot of people who are mostly foremost digital marketing, and it's hard to figure out how to translate that. The best thing I figured out is to tell a good story that's true, but that has some kind of applicability to whatever it is that I'm selling or whatever my clients are selling, to try to get a sliver of that same vibe that you get from talking to someone face to face. Tell me this: how do you train your salespeople how to tell those stories that creates that likability?
Well, I think it comes naturally to many of them. And, a common situation here is we have people join our team from around the country. So they're moving from the Midwest, the Northeast, from wherever, and they're joining one of our teams in one of the markets that we operate in. And that by itself is a pretty bold move. And so when they're going door to door, home to home, of course, they're talking about solar primarily, but it doesn't take much to get into just a conversation with the customer. And when our sales reps share their experience of, why they're working with Better Earth, what made them make such a leap to, move across the country to, start doing door to door for this product and for this company. And then they just talk about themselves. Usually that alone is, pretty compelling. So as far as like the in-person relationship, it's, I think it just kind of happens naturally that our sales reps are able to share a compelling story.
It's really interesting. I think about sales training, and I've done who knows how much sales training, a lot over my decade in business. And from what you're saying, we could phrase it as a significant part of your sales training would be telling people, A, it's okay to share their personal story about why they're doing what they're doing, but then B, how to communicate that in a way that gets across the emotion, as opposed to the benefits, God help us, not the features, but the benefits of solar. Just telling the story about, hey, here's why I made the life decisions that I made. And I think it's really interesting. My friend Michael Gimmerin phrases it as the only things that are worth anything now are attention and effort. In the face of everything's commoditized and AI is eating everything, that attention and effort is all that matters anymore. And telling that personal story, here's where I got to where I am. One of the stories I tell people is that I grew up in a two business owner family, and I thought discussing finances around the dinner table was completely normal. And Patrick, the first time I was advised this was not normal, I was in college and we're in the dorm and we're telling stories about how we're paying for college. And I grew up talking about debt all the time. My mom's a CPA, my dad builds houses. We're talking about debt constantly. And we're just chatting. And I ask one of my fellow dorm mates, yeah, so how much debt are you going into for college? And another dorm mate gets incensed at me, just like a crazy level of vitriol. And I thought, what in the world is this? And come to find out later, she's in the I asked my dad how much he made once, and based on the reaction, I never asked him again camp,
Interesting.
which shocked me. I had no idea that there was people that were so different from me because I just grew up with numbers. But then I tell that story and I can say, yeah, so when I'm helping entrepreneurs organize their lives and their families and how they're going to create these results with their families, I grew up with this being my entire reality. And so I have the selling point, but it's the story, right? So I love that story part of things and that commitment. Tell me this: how do you get people to move across the country for a sales job? That seems like in the age of work from home, everything that seems like it must be a pretty hard sell.
I think it appeals to different types of people. And so one of the things I talk about quite a bit is just taking an adventure, taking a risk, moving across the country, doing something bold. It's something that I think you can do at any stage of life, but is a lot easier to do when you're younger and have less expectations. Like when you're 20 and you're fresh out of college and you're just trying to figure life out, that's a great time to dive into this kind of direct sales role where you're going to be honing your communication skills, learning about persuasion and psychology. And also there's just a huge, all that stuff is great. But then when you get into the income earning possibilities in the solar industry, I think that does most of the selling. And for many people who are coming from whatever background, they want to create a amazing life for themselves. They understand the value of commission based positions and earning more for their effort than they would get at a salaried position. I think it's sort of one of those things that people see the opportunity both as an adventure and as an earning opportunity, and it just makes sense. It's something that they want to try. It's something that will push their comfort zone and will force them to grow. And so, we talk about all of those things in sort of that onboarding process. And that really speaks to a lot of people. The work from home thing is great, but it limits your ability to interact with other people. It's going to limit your growth opportunities. Sitting behind a screen just, it's, I don't think that's the way we're meant to live, frankly.
Well, and you're creating an unfair advantage for your staff that if you've spent a couple years talking to people face to face, and then whatever their next gig is or their business they start, and the people they're competing with have no experience to face because they grew up in this particular era, the person who has the face to face experience is going to win a lot because they understand a lot of things that just aren't there across Zoom.
Yeah, totally.
Tell me this:
Yeah.
how long do your sales team stay with you? What's your retention like?
So, it totally depends. We have people that come out just for a season. They're intentionally just doing like a summer sales kind of thing, maybe in between semesters. And then we have other people that joined our team, when we started the company in 2019 and are still with us, to this day, no signs of leaving. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
other people that come in, they just make the most of the opportunity and then, they're ready to move on to other things. So, it's tough to put an exact number on the retention. I don't have that in front of me, but what I can say is that for the most part, everybody that comes through our system is very enthusiastic about it, appreciative of it, whether they're still here or not, and they would recommend it to other people.
Do you remember the knife sales things back in college? There'd
Cutco.
be the booths and they'd say, "Oh, come sell knives at this door to door and you'll make $1 bazillion." And some people did, right? That did exist. My
Yes.
impression is probably a lot of people who did it, they got told no a lot, but they didn't necessarily make much money or develop sales skills. And there wasn't really a purpose behind it. One of the things that attracts me to your solar company is that you have a purpose. And I'd love to hear some about both how do you communicate that purpose to your sales team? And then how does that affect how they interact with your company and with your brand and how they're communicating with the prospect?
Well, yeah. So when you say purpose, like some products, let's say, have more purpose than others. Like with the knife selling, like it's you're probably referring to Cutco. It's something that a lot of people have experienced, and like they learn a lot still about how to generate referrals. It's a very referral based business and kind of tapping your own personal network. But one of the things with solar that's cool is, besides it being an amazing product, where especially for the homeowners in the markets that we serve, they're usually paying extremely high rates for electricity. So we're able to transition them to solar. There's all these financing options available, so clients can get solar for $0 out of pocket. And basically, instead of paying their ever increasing utility bill, they're going to pay a fixed solar payment that's going to, and the solar system will cover all of their electrical needs. So there's that element, which is like the purpose in this sense is we get to save clients money. And of course, with solar, the first thing that a lot of people think of is just the environmental benefit. So
Mhm.
I think it's just sort of has a deeper value add than maybe what something like knives could add to someone's situation. They're probably supporting you in that situation. Maybe they need some new knives, but maybe they're just supporting you and they like you. So
Mhm.
in this situation, we have a huge value add to offer to clients. Many of them are going to save well over $100,000 over the next 25 years by switching to solar. So that helps a lot.
Why did you start this company?
So we started the company really out of a need we saw in the space. So I've been in the solar industry since 2015. I worked at startup solar companies. I worked at Solar City at one point, which they were the behemoth of the industry when I worked there. I built another company basically from scratch as a salesperson and later in an operations role in California. And it was in 2019 when we saw that the industry just wasn't where we wanted it to be. It's a fairly new industry. And with a new industry, there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of people that are getting in the space. And we felt many of them just simply weren't offering a customer experience that was needed in the space. So, you can look online, look at some of the largest companies. You have like Sunrun, Vivint, et cetera. There's many of them. And frankly, the reviews are trash. And so that's not good for attracting other people to adopt this product. It's an emerging industry. This isn't something where you're switching from one solar company to another. This is like you're going solar for the first time. And so we saw this need to create an amazing customer experience and use that sales experience that myself and all my other business partners had and embed that in the decision making every single day for our operations so that as we build and scale, we can scale and create a 5-star experience for every single customer that we work with. And so that's why for us, our whole thing, you kind of mentioned earlier with, some commodities, or you mentioned earlier the quote from your friend about, effort in work, something
Yeah.
along those
And
lines.
attention. Yeah.
Attention, yes. And in my view, for a commoditized product, like you can get a solar panel from somebody else and you can get it installed by somebody else. But where we want to distinguish ourselves is with the service that we provide and making sure that that client has as little friction along the way, has as much communication as needed. We're ultimately doing a construction project on someone's greatest asset in many cases, their home. And so we want to treat that with the delicacy that it requires and that the clients deserve. And so that's what you can see reflected in our online reviews.
I've had exactly one experience with a solar company where I bought a new house, new to me, and called the solar company to come out and just take a look and tell me what they thought, what would it be worthwhile. And then something came up and I decided to cancel the appointment because I had some work thing I had to be doing. And I work from a home office like everyone. And then I'm in my office working and my wife says, "Hey, there's some guy at the door." And the guy showed up even after I canceled the appointment. And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see it was canceled," and leaving, he's like, I'm here. Can I just go do this really quick?" And I'm in the middle of some work project, like, "Okay, fine. Just go do it really fast." Like, because I want him out of there, right? And so he goes and he does a quick assessment, whatever, and says, it's probably not a great deal given that I'm in the Northwest and behind some trees and the rope slope's not quite right. But it left a terrible taste in my mouth. I wish I could remember the name of the company so I could say, don't use them, because it was this huge interruption after I canceled the meeting. At every stage of this, it was just, it was like, wow, this person's in my space. And it felt bad.
Yeah, it's this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is not uncommon for, not just solar companies, but really a lot of home improvements or other things like cable and internet or whatever. It has like a synonymously horrible reputation of, just large time windows and poor communication. And so this is where, as we built Better Earth from scratch, we wanted to keep this customer experience front of mind. And so it's something that we talk about all the time, is the customer experience and making sure it's as perfect as it can be.
How do you train new salespeople that maybe don't have door-to-door sales experience before? How do you indoctrinate them in that customer service centric perspective, especially while they're really excited about those commission checks?
Sure. So we regularly accept people with no prior sales experience and no prior solar experience. So training them is, I think there's a few prongs to it. One is just understanding the product itself and understanding like how solar works and understanding the industry behind it. Another is actually understanding sort of like the sales tactics, how to break someone's preconceived notions at the door, how to close deals, how to do follow up, how to generate referrals. And then, the last part I think is just understanding how to talk about Better Earth in our company and, like how, and really like sort of driving home the feeling that, we are all about greatness and excellence, and that we do see ourselves as cut above the rest in the industry, and how they need to embody that the way that everybody else on our team does, sort of naturally. This is sort of like a habit of greatness. We have a great company culture where, we all see ourselves filling this need in the industry, and we all see ourselves as, wanting to go above and beyond and stopping at nothing to help clients. And so I think just reinforcing that message, as well as, the other two elements of training, it's kind of like where we start. And then more specifically, besides just the content, it's about discipline. It's about going out there in the field and, doing it day to day, pitching constantly, constantly trying to improve your pitch, optimize your pitch, get better at handling objections. There's the day to day components as well.
Now, one thing you said a while ago is you said something like, I have this incredible opportunity where there's, guaranteed results, but the downside is, or the catch is that it's hard. Something about, you said something, I think it was on
Yes.
Twitter about, but it's hard. And let's wrap up with that question. When you look at the kinds of people who are available to go work for a firm like yours today, and you talk about, if you use our system, you will win, but it's hard. This really just resonates with me because I am a small business coach, and I often tell people, okay, do this. Here's the path. Do these three things in this order, in this time frame, and your chances of winning are maximum they can be. But it's hard.
Yes.
How do you get people? How do you motivate them to do the hard things that if they do them, they will win?
Well, to me, it starts with the big questions about like, what do you want out of life, right? Like a lot of people find themselves in sales because, they look around, they say, it's kind of like what I mentioned before. They want to maximize their earning opportunity, which means they want to get paid for going above and beyond rather than just getting a salary and waiting for like a 3% raise at the end of the year, right? So that's the first thing. And then, it's realizing like, okay, what would you do with that income? We like to tell people that, with this opportunity, because we have people making hundreds of thousands of dollars, on a quarterly basis. And, they're able to take that income. They're able to, do amazing things with their family, take their families on vacation, pay off debts, but also, they're investing in real estate, investing in crypto, investing in stocks, whatever, investing in their own business. And they're really planting the seeds for a lifetime of wealth. So I think the first thing is just understanding, the potential here and realizing that this opportunity won't be forever. And so, really just grabbing the opportunity by the horns. And then, it's like, okay, what we want to provide for you is all the tools, training, materials that you need to be successful. For the most part, we're incentivized to make sure that they're as successful as can be so that they can continue to duplicate that success. And so we have the system, right? We have an amazing product. We have an amazing, installation team and everyone else in the company that can deliver that product to the customer's home with, like I said, minimal friction, great communication so that that customer is willing to give you referrals and everything like that. And we're going to help you with the pitch. So, if we can help optimize your pitch, we can help get you better at pitching, at closing, at all those things. And the product is so amazing that I firmly believe it really sells itself. You could probably walk around with a sign that has all the details of it on your, and you could just ring doorbells. And if people just read enough of the signs, then you would get clients. And so it's really just a matter of fighting the resistance every single day. It sounds easy when you say like, oh, just go ring some doorbells, go knock on some doors. It sounds like an easy thing to do until you're faced with the reality of doing it. When you're getting in your car, you're driving to a random neighborhood, you're parking your car and you're going to get out of the car to ring that first doorbell. All of a sudden, the entire universe is conspiring against you and giving you every single thing that you should be doing besides knock this door. You're like, oh, I got to do my grocery shopping. I got to get laundry. I actually need to go get an energy drink at the gas station.
Yeah.
The entire universe is going to try and work against you. So if you can learn to fight that resistance and you can just go there and just knock door after door, handle the rejection along the way too, because sometimes most people I believe are generally nice, but we could be catching people maybe in your situation. They're in the middle of their workday. They don't want to talk to us. Maybe they could be having the worst day of their life. They could have got some tragic news. This kinds of things happen. So we have to develop thick skin and just be able to handle that resistance and handle the negativity. And if you can acclimate to that and you can push through it and you can show up day after day, even if you're getting 0 sale days, even if you spent 8 hours in the field the day before and you got nothing, that you're going to go out there and do it again the next day with a smile on your face. If you can train yourself to do that, if you can do that and work with our team to help you get there, then I am extremely confident you can be successful in this industry and you can see a great income. And the reason why I say that is because this was sort of my experience personally. I was not a natural salesperson. I was not a great salesperson. It took me months to learn how to do door to door and to start seeing great install months, where I was getting a lot of business through. And all I know for myself personally is that I showed up every single day and I outworked most other people. And even with less than great sales skills to start, it paid off tremendously. So I recommend the same for other people. I know if they can just fight through that resistance and they can continue training and always be learning, that they will definitely win in the solar industry.
Okay, listeners, I have 2 questions for you. The first is, when you look around at your competition, can you confidently say that your prospects would say that you have the reputation for way better customer service than your competition? If not, why not? And the second question for you, listener, is what is your equivalent of that knocking on doors for 8 hours a day? The thing that if you just pushed through that resistance, that you'd break through to an unreasonable amount of success. Now, Patrick, for folks listening to this who think this sounds like an interesting opportunity to be in sales and do door-to-door sales, where is the place for prospective salespeople to contact you?
If they want to contact me directly, I'm always open on Twitter and Instagram at PatrickButler00. They can also contact our team directly. We have an amazing team there that can help give them guidance, and you can find our careers page on our website, betterearth.solar. And I'd say that's the best places to go.
And for folks in California, Arizona, or some parts of Florida where you're operating and they think they want to have the best sales experience of their life, where should they go to learn more about the possibilities of saving money and saving the planet with your tool?
So if they want to learn more about solar in general, then betterearth.solar. Check out our website. You can call us. You can talk to us. We are always happy to share everything we possibly can about what it takes to go solar.
Wonderful. Patrick, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Really appreciate it.